ओमज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतलं स्वयं रूपकदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतः पदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातां सहगणा रघुनाथामृतं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपदां सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितं च हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वंशकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 रामो राम रामो हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. Would like to welcome all of you all to our Gita classes. We are on chapter 9 of the Bhagavad Gita, which is entitled as Raja Vidya Raja Guhya Yoga, most confidential knowledge. So far, we have been discussing the first three parts of this chapter, which is K standing for knowledge, I standing for inconceivable nature of the Lord, and N standing for non-worshippers. Now, we're going to be discussing the last part of this chapter, which is the glories of bhakti. And we're going to begin this particular section of the glories of bhakti, which we just slightly introduced the last time, by talking about a very, very powerful and a very important verse of the Gita. This is in fact considered to be one of the most important verses of the Gita. I'll just chant the verse and you can repeat after me. Patram pushpam phalam toyam yo me bhaktya prayachati tadaham bhakti uparatam ashnami priyatatmana. So in this verse, Krishna says, if one offers me with love and devotion a leaf, flower, fruit, or water, I will accept it. So this verse is a very beautiful verse for many reasons. So if you look at these, so this verse actually talks about what is Krishna's expectations from us. We always think about, whenever we want to worship anybody or whenever we want to connect with anyone, we always think, see, that person is going to give me something. He also expects back something in return from me. And when it comes to God, we always have a doubt. What does God expect from us? What is his expectation from us? Now, Krishna is known as Lakshmipati. He is the husband of the goddess of fortune. He has everything. What can you give him? So, Krishna, he is giving us such a simple list of things that you can give him in return for whatever he is giving you. And this list is something that you don't even have to put an effort to get. You don't even have to spend money to get. You don't even have to have a lot of money to get all this. This list is something that what is he asking for? Patram, pushpam, phalam, toyam. And if you look at it, he is only talking about a singular word. Patram means one leaf. Pushpam means one flower. Phalam means one fruit. Toyam means a little water. Now, for anyone in this world, these four things are easily available, isn't it? You can get it. So many, just go out of your house, you'll find so many leaves around. Offer any leaf to Krishna. If you go out of your house, you'll find some flower, some fruit anywhere on some trees. Offer that to Krishna. If you don't get any of these, you don't get leaves, you don't get flowers, you don't get trees, you don't get fruits, water you'll surely get. Offer that to the Lord. So Krishna is making the process of what we can give him very simple, to such an extent that anyone and everyone can give this to him. Patram Pushpam Phalam Toyam, at another level, there's a Shiva Acharya who speaks about this concept of Patram Pushpam Phalam Toyam from a totally different perspective. So while this is a traditional translation of what I just described to all of you, what it means, what Krishna is actually asking us, there is another deeper meaning to this verse, Patram Pushpam Phalam Toyam. And this verse simply means, this is Shiva Acharya giving us a commentary on what Krishna is meaning by Patram Pushpam Phalam Toyam on a deeper level. See, the verses of the Gita are applicable at many levels. For a common man, for a normal person who doesn't know much about philosophy, the verse speaks one level. But for someone who knows philosophy or is practicing the Krishna conscious process in a very deep way, the same verse can go much deeper. So here's a deeper version of Patram Pushpam Phalam Toyam for you. So this Acharya explains, what is Krishna talking about? Patram Pushpam Phalam Toyam. The Patram that Krishna is speaking about is when you go in front of him, go with your folded hands. When you go to God, when you go in front of God with your folded hands like this, our folded hand looks like a leaf. Yeah? You see? Looks like I don't know, my hand looks like a leaf, but it looks like a leaf. So the Patram that he is talking about is go to the Lord and fold your hands. You don't even need to look at a leaf from outside. Your hands can become your leaf. So when you fold your hands in front of the Lord, that's the leaf that he's talking about. Pushpam, what is the flower that he's talking about? The flower that he's talking about is the flower of your heart. All our hearts are like a flower. When we offer our heart to the Lord, it's like offering a beautiful flower to the Lord. So when Krishna is saying, offer Patram, he's saying, offer your folded hands to me. When he's saying, offer Pushpam, he's not telling you to offer just a flower. He's telling you, offer the flower of your heart to me. And then when he's saying Phalam, on one level, yes, he's talking about fruits. But on another level, he's talking about offering the fruits of your activities to him. Offer the fruits of your activities to Krishna. We all do so many activities. The result of that activities is called Phalam. So when you do any action, when you do any activities, when you do any karma, whatever result you get out of it, whatever fruits you get out of it, offer that to Krishna. That's the Phalam that he's talking about. And what is the Toyam that he's talking about? Yes, you can offer water. But the Toyam that Krishna is talking about on a deeper level is the tears from your eyes. When you come in front of the Lord, fold your hands, offer your heart, offer your, the fruits of your activities to him, then you shed tears. Tears of love, tears of joy, tears of devotion. That's the Toyam that he wants you to offer. So for those who are, not really spiritually inclined, they can think of offering a fruit, a leaf, a flower, and a little water. But those who are already doing that, if you want to go a little higher in your devotion, offer the other four things. Offer, your folded hands. Offer the flower of your heart. Offer the fruit of your activities. And offer the tears of your eyes. And that's a much higher level of offering that you can do to him. So this verse, Patram Pushpam Phalam Toyam, is such a beautiful verse. And it has so many deeper connotations to it. I'll share with you all some thoughts on these four aspects, Patram Pushpam Phalam Toyam, through some stories and some insights. One time in Dwarka, when Krishna was living in Dwarka, Narad Muni once came to Dwarka. So Narad Muni, he was, sometimes he's a little naughty. But, whenever Narad Muni is a little naughty also, his naughtiness is always to enhance the the love the devotees have for the Lord, and the connection that the Lord has towards his devotees. So Narad Muni, he comes to Dwarka and he meets Satyabhama, the wife of Lord Krishna. And he asks Satyabhama that, kind of just to trick Satyabhama, something a little naughty. He asks her, did I hear it right that Krishna loves Rukmini more than you? Is that true? Though you are so beautiful. Um, Satyabhama really gets confused. He gets a little insecure, with this question of Narad Muni. So Narad Muni tells her, don't you think you deserve more attention of Krishna? So Satyabhama immediately gets, intrigued. She says, please tell me, O sage, what should I do to get his undivided attention? So she says, you are my only hope. Just tell me, what should I do? Narad Muni, he says, see, that's exactly why I've come here. I have a first-class plan to help you bring Krishna's undivided attention to you. So she was very excited. She told him, please tell me, what do I do? So he says, you should now make a vow that you will hand over Krishna to me as a slave. And you not only keep the vow, but you make sure that Krishna knows about this vow of yours also. And then, just to show how much you love him, you should tell me that I want Krishna back. And to get Krishna back, I'll give anything back in return. And I'll give, all the wealth that I have in return for Krishna. And then Krishna will admire the sacrifice, that you're giving away all your jewelry and giving away all your wealth because you love him so much. And then that will be completely enough to win Krishna's heart. And he will feel that you love him so much and he'll only give you attention. Satyabhama loved the idea. She said, yes, I am the daughter of Shatrajit. My wealth is unlimited. I am sure I have enough wealth to give the weight of Krishna that much in gold. So Narad Muni was happy. So she immediately declared to Narad Muni, I take a vow that right now I declare that Krishna is your slave. So then, Satyabhama runs to Krishna eventually, and he tells her, she tells him, see, Krishna, I'm very, very sorry that something unfortunate has happened. Somehow by trick, Narad Muni has made me say something that I didn't want to say, but I've said it. And according to my vow, you are Narad Muni's slave. So Krishna smiled. And Krishna doesn't mind becoming a slave of his devotees, isn't it? So Narad Muni is such a great devotee. He said, I have no problem being Narad Muni's slave. But Satyabhama said, no, I will undo it. I will undo my mistake. And I will give Narad Muni as much weight in gold, as much, your weight in gold, basically. So she arranged for a huge tulabar, and she made Krishna sit on one side, and she started putting jewelry on the other side. And she put huge amount of gold and diamonds and all kinds of costly items on the other side. And no matter how many items she was putting, the tula bar was not increasing only. It is Krishna's weight. It was just not, whatever amount of gold she was putting is just not enough to handle Krishna's weight. So Satyabhama was getting anxious now because she was exhausting all her wealth and there was no change on the scales. So now she realized, and Narad Muni was standing over there and smiling like anything, because he just wanted Krishna. He loved Krishna so much, and he felt that all these wives of Krishna are taking away all his time. We don't get his time only. So he tricked Satyabhama based on her little insecurity, and he got full possession of Krishna. And Narad Muni knew very well there is no wealth in this world that can weigh as much as Krishna. And then Satyabhama, in a panic, she began to go and call all the other wives of Krishna to help her with the problem. On all the other wives, they realized this is a major, serious crisis in Dwarka. They all bought their gold and they all started putting it on the Tulabar. And each and every one of them, 16,108 wives Krishna had. And all of them got all their gold and put it on the other side, and nothing happened. Finally, Satyabhama realized she had been a big fool in listening to Narad Muni and trading away Krishna. Now they are in serious trouble. And then at that point, Satyabhama realized there's only one person who can help me, and that is Rukmini. Because Rukmini always knew some very interesting ways of dealing with problems and crises. So, keeping her ego aside, Satyabhama went all the way to Rukmini and told her the problem. Rukmini smiled and walked along with her to see what she can do. And while she was walking along with Satyabhama towards Krishna's Tulabhar, on the way, she saw a tulsi plant. And she went to the tulsi plant and plucked out one leaf of the tulsi plant and walked along. When she reached there, she put that one tulsi leaf on the Tulavar. And the moment she put that one tulsi leaf on the Tulavar, Krishna went up, zoom, and the whole thing came down the side. And everyone was stunned. And then Rukmani Devi tells all the queens of Dwarka, remove all your gold from there. Just leave the tulsi leaf there. They removed all the gold off. And only that single leaf of tulsi plant was there on the other side. And still, that weighed more than Krishna's weight. Everyone was amazed. They said, how is this possible? How is this possible that one leaf of tulsi, I mean, I don't know how many of you have weighed a leaf of tulsi. I don't even know whether it weighs, even 1 gram. It's like probably less than 1 gram, isn't it? But that the weight of tulsi is not in the external material weight, but it's the weight of tapasya that she has done to conquer Krishna's heart. And therefore, because she is such a beautiful person and she has done so much of intense tapasya, Krishna actually gives her so much respect. And therefore, this, we always sing every day in the morning a Tulsi Pranati, which is Namo Namaha Tulasi Krishna Preyasi Radha Krishna Seva Pao Yei Abhilashi. So, Krishna loves Tulasi. So, Tulasi Krishna Preyasi. And therefore, this one leaf, when we talk about the word Patram, this one leaf is more than enough to conquer Krishna's heart. So now, when Krishna is saying Patram Pushpam Phalam Toyam, what is he talking about? One Tulsi leaf, that's all. And Tulsi plant is not a very costly plant, isn't it? It doesn't take too much maintenance. It doesn't take too much effort to get a Tulsi plant. It is not at all a costly thing. Getting a Tulsi plant, you go to the market, anybody will give you Tulsi also free, isn't it? You buy some sabji, you ask for Tulsi, you'll get free also. So essentially, this one leaf is so powerful. The next, we're going to be talking about the story of the flower. The flower that Krishna is talking about. Patram Pushpam. So the word for flower in Sanskrit is Sumana. It's a very interesting word. Sumana means flower. But Sumana also has another meaning. Mana means heart or mind. And Sumana means the mind that is pure, the mind that is good. So when we offer the heart or the mind that is good, that's the flower that Krishna is talking about, Sumana. Let me tell you a very beautiful story about a flower. There was a king whose name was Indradumna Maharaj. Very powerful king. And Indradumna Maharaj, he had a very interesting habit. Every single day he would chant mantras and offer worship to Lord Vishnu. And every single day, while he would offer worship to Vishnu, he would offer 1,000 petaled golden lotus to Vishnu. 1,000 petaled lotus made of pure gold. He was a king. He had a lot. So he could afford giving a flower made up of pure gold. Every single day, Indra Maharaj, offered so many prayers to the Lord. He knew so many mantras by heart. He knew so many shlokas by heart. And every single day he would give one flower, offer this one golden flower, 1,000 petal golden flower to the Lord. Eventually, Indra Maharaj, due to some mistake that he made, he was cursed to become an elephant. And this Indradumna became Gajendra, the king of elephants. And when Gajendra was at one point in his life, he had gone to a lake to have a bath with all his family members. While he was in the lake, having fun with his family members, a crocodile caught his feet. And the crocodile was pulling him away. And all his family members were trying to save him. He was using his own strength to save himself. For a long period of time, the fight between Gajendra and this crocodile took place. No one was able to help him. At that point in time, Gajendra became very, very despondent. And in his despondency, he realized the only one who can help me is the Supreme Lord. And he decided to take shelter of the Supreme Lord. And when he intensely called out to the Supreme Lord, the Lord appeared on his bird carrier Garuda. And when the Lord appeared, Gajendra, he wanted to offer something to the Lord. Now he is in a state of helplessness. He can't go anywhere. He's just stuck over there so badly because of the crocodile. And the most amazing thing is, he saw in that lake, very close to him, one lotus flower. Now you might wonder, how did this one lotus flower come? Simply because the Lord arranged for it. In his previous life, he had offered so many lotus flowers, and when he needed it the most, the Lord made sure he arranged for that one lotus flower. And Gajendra picked up that one lotus flower and he offered it to the Lord. And that one lotus flower that Gajendra offered with complete helplessness represented the flower of his heart. That, my dear Lord, I'm offering this flower, but please don't look at this as just a flower. It's my heart that I'm offering it to you. So we all have a chance to offer flowers to the Lord. Ideally, we should offer every day at least one flower to the Lord. But when we offer that flower, please remember, Krishna is not interested in your things. I mean, you think he has any shortage of flowers in Vaikuntha? Any shortage of flowers in Golok Vrindavan? And there is no shortage of flowers that he ever has in his entire life. It's not that you offering one flower is going to be very important for his garland, That hardly matters. But when you offer the flower, along with offering the flower, please, from your heart, you tell the Lord, my dear Lord, I'm offering this flower to you, but I'm actually offering my heart to you. And that's what Krishna wants. Krishna is known as Bhavagrahi Janardana. Bhavagrahi Janardana means he not only accepts the external of whatever you're doing, but he accepts the mood with which you're doing, the bhava with which you're doing. So Krishna is Bhavagrahi. So when he's saying, you're offering the externals of it, but along with that, he accepts the bhava with which you are offering it. You may offer the best of the best things, but you're offering it not with the right bhava, right mood. Krishna is not interested in it. But if you're offering something as simple as an ordinary flower that is available anywhere, but you're offering that with bhava, that is what Krishna is really interested in. And therefore Krishna is known as Bhavagrahi Janardana. So that the next story is of phalam, the fruit. So we hear of the story of Vidura, in whose house Krishna visited. And it's a very interesting story because just before going to Vidura's house, Duryodhan calls him. Duryodhan calls Krishna. He tells Krishna that, hey Krishna, we have created chappan bhog for you. And we have made food from ghee and the most luxurious of items, the best of the best items we have created for you. Please come and eat food in our house. Krishna looks at Duryodhana and tells him, I won't come to your house. And he tells him, I go to anybody's house First, if someone calls me with love, you have no love in your heart, so I'm not going to come to your house. And second, Krishna says, I'll go to eat in somebody's house if I'm feeling hungry. I don't feel hungry. You think Krishna will ever feel hungry? He is Atmaram, he is self-satisfied. He is not going to feel hungry. But after denying going to Duryodhana's house, Krishna goes to Vidura's house. And Vidura's house is not an opulent house as such. And Vidura, in his humble abode, he invited Krishna. And Vidura and his wife, they were offering banana fruits to Krishna, phalam, And the two of them were so mesmerized by Krishna. I mean, imagine Krishna coming to your own house to eat. The two of them were so mesmerized with Krishna, they just kept staring at him. And in their bewilderment, and in their confusion, in their, when you have a guest who is very exalted, you don't know what to do sometimes. Your hands and legs don't work properly, So in their excitement and in their confusion, in their, bewilderment, they were peeling the banana leaves, fruit, and they were throwing away the banana and offering the leaf, the peel to Krishna. And Krishna was eating the peels of the banana. Imagine. So Krishna is not, and of course, now you might ask, how can anyone eat the banana peels? Krishna can eat anything. And he can digest it also, by the way, We can't. We may not be able to do all that. But more than the peels, Krishna was feeling hungry that day. Just now he told Duryodhana, I'm not hungry. Then he comes to Vidura's house and he eats so much. Now you might say, what is this? How is it a contradiction in his personality? Did he lie to Duryodhana? No, he didn't lie. The hunger is incited by love. When someone with a great amount of love feeds you, even if you're not hungry, you eat, isn't it? Because that love inspires you to eat. And if someone feeds you without any love, even if you're hungry, you don't feel like eating. Because, the inspiration doesn't come just by food. The inspiration comes with the mood with which the food is given to you. And that's what Krishna did over here. He ate so much. There's a very beautiful story in the Srimad Bhagavatam about a fruit seller that comes to Vrindavan. Interestingly, this fruit seller, she lived in Mathura, and she would travel around selling fruits to different villages around Mathura. One particular day, she came to Vrindavan because she, heard about Krishna so much. She had heard about Krishna, so she came to Vrindavan to, try her luck to see Krishna. So when she came to Vrindavan, she was selling fruits. So she was shouting, in these traditional fruit sellers, they walk on the streets, they shout out, right? Fruit names of the fruits. Take mangoes, take oranges, take bananas. So she was like shouting, and as she was shouting out the names of these fruits and selling it, in her mind were thoughts of Krishna. Because she was so eager to see Krishna, in her mind there was so much thoughts of Krishna. And carrying her basket, shouting out, she started shouting, Govinda Lelo, Damodar Lelo, Madhava Lelo. Instead of calling the names of fruits, she started calling Krishna's names, She was just so confused, basically. And she was making rounds around Nandagram. And she knew Krishna lived in Nandagram with his parents. But she thought, let me try my luck. So she went to Nandagram trying to sell fruits around the palace of Nanda Baba. But one full day she roamed around and Krishna didn't come out. So she felt very bad. The next day, she decided to come back again. The next day also, she did as much as she could, but Krishna didn't come out. The third day, she took a vow. If Krishna does not allow me to see him today, I will not return. I'll just give up my life. And, and then that day when she started calling out for names of fruits and all, Krishna heard her calling. And he was sitting on Mother Yashoda's lap at that point in time. But when he heard this fruit seller calling out, he jumped off the lap of Mother Yashoda, started running towards the, towards the door. And on his way out towards the door, there was a sack of grains kept in Nanda Bhavan. He picked up a handful of grains in his hands, little hands, and he ran towards the courtyard, shouting, "Oh, I want some fruits! I want some fruits! Give me fruits!" Krishna had previously seen his mother, Yashoda, doing this barter system, where in those days, when you give, when you want to get something, you have to give something. It's like a very simple system of barter, basically. So, Mother Yashoda, she would barter her, if she would want fruits or anything like that, she would barter it with some grains or whatever she has in her possession. Krishna had seen that, and he understood the idea of barter. So he understood if I need fruits, I need to give something back in return. So he picked up a handful of grains and he ran towards the fruit seller. The fruit seller was waiting outside the gate, and she couldn't enter Mother Yashoda's house. And little Krishna had to run out of the house, out of the gate, out of the door, and through the courtyard and reach her. And as he was running out, running it is considerable distance, because it was a huge palace. The grains that he was holding in his hand were falling off, from between his fingers, basically. I mean, little children, you know how they are, right? They are so clumsy, so they don't really have the ability to hold things properly, So Krishna was running at full speed, and from all the sides of his fingers, the grains were falling off. And then he ran and reached her, and he said, "Give me fruits, give me fruits." So this lady looked at Krishna and she asked him, "What will you give me in return?" So Krishna said, "I have brought lots of grains to give you." And then he opened his hands and he showed it to her, He got the shock of his life. And inside that, there was no grains only. It was like 1 or 2 grains were there, And the fruit seller said, "Oh, Krishna, there are no grains in your hands." Krishna looked at his hands and he was surprised. He was shocked. He said, "Oh, I got so many grains. Where did they go?" He didn't even know where they went. And the fruit seller looked at Krishna. She said, "I'll give you fruits." He wanted all the fruits, obviously. The fruit seller said, "Only on one condition. If you call me mother once, I'll give you fruits, as many as you want. I'll fill your hand with fruits." Now Krishna looked here and there, because his mother Yashoda had told him not to talk to strangers. And here was a complete stranger that, not only was talking to him, but she was telling him to call her mother, Krishna really wanted the fruits. He was also scared inside his heart because his mother had warned him not to talk to strangers. So he didn't know what to do. He just looked around, made sure nobody was looking at him. And he jumped into her lap, sat in her lap, and says, "Mother, mother," he says, and then he jumps out of the lap and he says, "Give me fruits now." And you can imagine this lady, she was so mesmerized. I mean, she only asked him to call her mother. He sat on her lap on his own, And she was so bewildered, stunned. She started filling Krishna's hands with fruits. And Krishna was holding fruits like this. And she filled Krishna's both her hands, so many fruits. And Krishna took those fruits, jumped and danced and walked back into his house. This fruit seller lady sat there all day long. She couldn't get up from there. Her eyes were riveted to that door from which Krishna had come. She remained sitting there all day long. Krishna went inside, distributed fruits to all the gopis in the house. The fruits are not getting over only. So many fruits were there, just not getting over. And then here outside, it was late evening, and this fruit seller she just lost herself completely in Krishna. And then eventually somebody, tapped her, and they said, "What are you doing?" That's when she came back to her senses, and she realized she needs to go back. When she picked up a basket, she had given all the food she had to Krishna. When she picked up a basket, her entire basket was filled with so many jewels and so many valuable diamonds and all kinds of ornaments. This lady, these jewels didn't make any sense to her at all. That's not what she did it for. Usually, Most people, when they give something, they expect something back in return, right? But this lady had nothing, no expectation from Krishna in return at all. And these jewels, she was thinking that compared to the little time that Krishna gave me and the affection that Krishna gave me, what are these jewels? The useless pieces of stone. She walked up to the Yamuna river. She emptied the basket into the Yamuna river. She didn't keep any of those jewels. And it's explained that no one ever saw this lady again in Vrindavan or Mathura. It is explained that day itself, she had perfected her life and gone back to the spiritual world. This is the power of fruits, offering fruits to Krishna. So obviously now, for you and me, the externals of fruit is just offering that, the physical fruit to Krishna, which is so much easier, isn't it? I mean, buying a fruit from the market and offering it, not a big deal. Growing a fruit in your garden or in your house and offering it, that may be a big deal. But offering fruits is not a great thing. It's not like something extraordinarily great. But offering the fruit of your activities to Krishna is big. What is the meaning of offering the fruit of your activities to Krishna? That means whatever we do in our life, there is a fruit at the end of it, right? Like say, for example, you cook a meal. So much effort the activity is all about, isn't it? You buy vegetables and then, cut them and then, do so many things to prepare. It takes a good 1-2 hours of solid effort to prepare a meal, isn't it? And after you prepare that meal, what do? You're excited to eat it up, isn't it? The idea of phalam is whenever you put an effort to do anything, at the end of the effort, before you enjoy the fruit of that effort, offer it to Krishna. That's what it means. So anything that you're going to put considerable effort in, at the end of it, you will always get a fruit. Offer that fruit to Krishna. Like I was just giving an example of cooking. After a considerable amount of effort, you put effort and then you make a meal. First, offer it to Krishna and eat. Let's look at other examples. You work for a month in an organization. Work very, very hard at the end of, for 1 month in an organization. At the end of the month, you get a paycheck. That paycheck is your fruit. And what you do with that fruit? That paycheck, most of the time, what do you do with the money that we have? Pay rents, pay our bills, buy food, etc. Right? Now, that money that we get, the fruit that we get of whatever work is, offer a portion of that fruit to Krishna. The simplest way is if you simply offer everything you eat with the money that you buy it, with the money that you get from working hard. If you offer every day whatever you eat, that itself is offering a small portion of the fruit to Krishna. Or for example, let's look at another example. You do exercise. A lot of hard work, isn't it? You do solid exercise over a whole month and you become really fit and become very strong and everything is, your body is in great shape and all that. What is the result of that? So whenever you're doing effort, you get a result, isn't it? So the result at the end of doing exercise and doing a lot of fitness training, etc., is that you get a fit body. The fruit of that, use a little bit of your time, little bit of energy to serve Krishna with that fit body. Do something for the Lord. Do something for the mission of the Lord. Do something with your body, which is spiritual. And that is offering the fruit to Krishna. So you figure out how you can offer the fruit to Krishna, but every time you put an effort, the end of that effort should always be to offer a little fruit to Krishna. I'll give you another very mundane example. One devotee, he bought a brand new car. Very costly car. Now, when you buy a car, what do you want to do? Obviously, you want to enjoy the car, isn't it? You want to drive, go on long drives, use it for going to your work, etc. This devotee in his mind, he decided, for me, this car is my vehicle, my instrument to serve Krishna. The first thing he did as soon as he bought the car is went to the temple. And he said, this car is going to be used for the purpose of going to the temple on a regular basis. Second thing, it's a very interesting mental way of worshipping. So he stayed, close to our temple in Chopati in Mumbai. This devotee, before he goes to his job, before he goes to his, work, whatever, he takes a pradakshina of the temple in his car. Obviously, you can't take pradakshina of the temple inside, but he found a road that goes all around the temple. He does one pradakshina of the temple with his car and then goes to work. I mean, if you want to find ways, there are millions of ways you can find to offer fruit to Krishna. If you don't want to find the way, you will not find a single way also. So the point is that whatever you have, whatever you do with effort, the result of that offer Krishna. That's what phalam is all about. And then the last word Krishna is speaking about is toyam. Toyam means water. So what exactly is toyam that Krishna is speaking about here? So usually, whenever you want to worship Krishna, there is water that is offered to the Lord. So many devotees keep a small glass of water, like a small silver glass of water or whatever, material you want to make. A small glass of water in the altar for Krishna. That's toyam. And because they treat Krishna as a person. And just like you and me, we feel thirsty, we keep a bottle of water around us. Similarly, Krishna also feels thirsty. He's a person. So by keeping that little glass of water on the altar, you are internally in your mind reminding yourself Krishna is a person and he also will feel thirsty. Offering water every single day to the Lord. And not only that, there's another way in which devotees offer the water to the Lord by doing abhishek of the Lord. So if you have deities at home, like Shaligram Shila or Laddu Gopal, doing abhishek of the Lord with water is also toyam. Is also offering water to the Lord. So abhishek, any way in which water can be offered to the Lord is under the category of toyam. And of course, as I said, the deeper insight is offering your tears to the Lord. Now, tears come out for many reasons, isn't it? There are tears of joy. There are tears of sorrow. There are tears of frustration and anger, and so many ways. Going on a bike, probably tears might come. So there are so many ways tears come from our eyes. That water is a very precious water. You know why? The tears that come out from your eyes come out when there is very high emotions running. Very high emotions running. Tears don't come out just like that, isn't it? Tears don't come out just like that. If ever in a kirtan, or while chanting japa, or while hearing a class, while reading a book, tears come out from your eyes. When you think about the Lord, when you connect with the Lord, when you remember the Lord, those tears are the toyam that the Lord is talking about. Those are the most precious tears for the Lord, because those are coming out from some deep emotion deep within your heart. And that's not normal. That's not ordinary. That's not easy also. It's not that every random person can cry tears remembering the Lord. I mean, we might cry tears hearing some Bollywood song or mundane music. That might be possible. But crying, remembering the Lord, connecting with the Lord is very, very rare. Is very extraordinary. And that is the toyam that Krishna is speaking about. So when we connect with the Lord very sincerely, we're grateful to the Lord for what the Lord has given us, for what the Lord has offered us, for what the Lord has done for us, for what the devotees have done for us. Those tears of gratitude, those tears of very deep appreciation coming from the heart, that's the toyam that Krishna is speaking about. So if you can't offer, the tears, you can offer water, a glass of water at least. That's also being grateful. Of course, there's one little boy that did something very interesting, and he redefined the word toyam. One day in our temple in Chopati, one boy comes, little boy, small, maybe 4 or 5-year-old boy, and he has a nice toy in his hand. And he goes to the altar, and the pujari is there inside the altar doing arti and all. He calls the pujari and tells him, "Can you offer this toy to Krishna?" He literally took that word toyam very seriously, made it toyam. And this boy actually wanted to offer his toy to the Lord. And the devotee really understood, the whole mood, and he actually did that. He actually went and offered the toy to Krishna, and this boy was playing with the toy that is offered to Krishna. So that's another level of, what this whole idea of toyam means. Offering whatever you have, whatever you love to the Lord, and that's considered to be toyam. So here in this particular verse, if you actually study this verse very carefully, you'll find something very interesting in this verse. The word bhakti is mentioned 2 times in this verse. Patram pushpam phalam toyam yome bhaktya prayachati tadaham bhakti aparatam ashname priyatatmana. So Krishna uses the word bhakti 2 times in one verse. In Sanskrit, there is a very interesting concept of non-repetition of words. It is explained according to Sanskrit grammar. When particular words are repeated in one sentence, it is considered to be a defect of that sentence. It is considered to be a wrong use of words in a sentence. And in this verse, Krishna has used the same word bhakti 2 times. Why? Because Krishna feels that word is more important than any of the other words. So you offer flowers, you offer leaf, you offer fruit, you offer water, but with bhakti, with devotion. If you offer all of that without devotion, it doesn't make any sense. Thousands of people go to Tirupati and so many of these temples, and they offer huge amounts of donation, huge amounts of money, but no bhakti in the heart. For Krishna, that doesn't make any sense. He doesn't need that. He doesn't want that. And therefore, everything is simply an envelope to carry our feelings. Just like when you send a letter to someone, to send that letter, you need an envelope, isn't it? The envelope is important to carry the message. On the envelope, you put a address, you put a stamp, you seal it, you do everything to the envelope. But imagine sending an empty envelope to someone. You think it's sensible? Everything is right. There's a stamp, there's the address, everything perfect. Return address, everything is written. But the guy opens the envelope and he sees nothing inside. You wonder, what the hell is this? What a stupid thing to do. Many people are doing that with the Lord. They're giving a first-class envelope, first-class ritual, first-class, offering flower, offering fruit, offering water, all that they're doing it. But unfortunately, they forget to put the message in it. They forget to put the love in it. They forget to put the feelings in it. Everything is simply an envelope to carry our feelings. When you carry those feelings, when you actually send your feelings to the Lord, which is what bhakti is all about. When you send your devotion to the Lord, which is what bhakti is all about, then the Lord accepts it. Here the word ashnami is used. What is the meaning of the word ashnami? Ashnami priyatatmana. Ashnami means I eat or I accept. So when you offer, anything to the Lord, don't think the Lord is not eating. Many years back, something really funny happened in our temple. I think I shared this with you all, I'm not sure. But anyway, let me share. Many years back, there was a big, rumor, and rather a big, how do you call it? A big phenomena that was happening where everybody said Ganpati is drinking milk. And everyone trying to make Ganpati drink milk, And in our temple in Chopati, we have one Ganpati on, right on the entrance on the doorway, nice, beautiful deity of Ganpati. And all our brahmacharis, they were really excited about Ganpati drinking milk, And they took one big bowl of milk and climbed a ladder to Ganpati. And they were, trying to feed Ganpati with the spoon. And Ganpati was drinking the milk. It was amazing. And as these, there's a big bunch of brahmacharis trying to feed Ganpati milk. So our leader, Radharan Swami Maharaj, happened to be, walking by, and he saw this whole group of people trying to feed milk to Ganpati, Then finally everyone ran away from there, and only that one devotee was on top, was standing there with that milk in his hand, So Maharaj asked him, "What are you doing there?" So, he said, "Maharaj, Ganpati is drinking milk, all over the world, Ganpati is drinking milk." Maharaj looked at him and said, "Don't you know, when we offered, food to the deities, they eat them. Every day we're offering six bhogas, 6 offerings we're doing to the Lord, to Radha Gopinath. You think the deities are not eating them?" And then the next Sunday, he gave a full lecture on this. How our mind only accepts something when we see it with our eyes. So that means if we want to know that the Lord is actually eating, we have to see that food disappearing. We have to see that food actually going into his mouth. Only then we are convinced. This is called Pratyaksha Praman. We are relying so much on our eyes. And how much is true when we look, how much can we rely on our eyes actually? Faith is when we understand this word that Krishna is saying, Ashnami. He's saying Ashnami, I will accept it. When he's saying in the Bhagavad Gita, I will accept it, and you doubt, that actually is indication that we don't have faith, isn't it? So when we offer it to the Lord, Patram Pushpam Phalam Toyam, and he's saying, Bhakti, Ashnami, I eat it. Let us have faith that he's actually going to eat it. If you don't have faith and you want proof, then no matter how much proof you get, you will still not believe it. Because the nature of the mind is to doubt, isn't it? But the nature of faith is to believe. And when we are in this mood that Krishna actually accepts the food that we offer, there is no question. There is no question of doubt. There is no question of, I can't see it. The food is there only. He can eat. He doesn't have to eat only with his mouth. The Lord's body, every limb of his body can do function of any other limb. In our body, our limbs only does one function. Our eyes can only see. Our eyes can't eat. But the Lord is every sense can do multiple things. He can see with his eyes, he can eat with his eyes. So when we offer food to the Lord, when the bhoga is being offered to the Lord, with his eyes, Krishna is accepting. And that acceptance is what Krishna is saying as Ashnami. So, and this particular verse proves one very, very important aspect. And the aspect that it proves is the simplicity of devotion. Bhakti is very simple. But it is simple for the simple. For those who are complex, Bhakti is complex. If you are actually simple in your heart, you will actually find Krishna reciprocating with you. And to the extent you are complex in your heart, to that extent you will find so many reasons to doubt. Far more people have made progress in their spiritual lives by being simple. And far less people have made progress have made no progress in their spiritual lives by being complex and by acting over smart. So the simplicity of bhakti is such a profound thing and such a rare thing actually. Because in this highly complex world, the most difficult thing to be is simple. And unfortunately, the reality of the world today is that if you're simple, people consider you to be a fool. People consider you to be weak. People consider you to be naive. But the reality is, if you really want to please the Lord and connect with the Lord, the most important qualification is simplicity. And that's all. And if you have that simplicity, you will attain the Lord for sure. And if you have everything else except simplicity, there's a very good chance that you will not attain because you'll get stuck in your complicated mind. So this verse is a very powerful verse, and the verse following it, which is a very, very highly conclusive verse, which I'll share with all of you today. Krishna is saying in this verse, Yat karoshi yad ashnasi, yad juhosi dadasi yat, yat tapasyasi kaunteya, tat kurushva mada arpanam. So Krishna is kind of, he gave one verse, the previous verse, Patrambashum Phalam, and this verse, he is quantifying what he means by it. He says, Yat karoshi, whatever you do, Yat ashnasi, whatever you eat, Yat juhosi, whatever you offer, Dadasi yat, whatever you give away, Yat tapasyasi, whatever austerities you perform, Kaunteya means talking to Arjun, Tat kurushva mad arpanam. He says, do that as an offering to me. What a beautiful verse, isn't it? Krishna is giving us a direction. Krishna is giving us a solid plan of action, what we need to do in our life. This is what is called as Karma Yoga. Karma Yoga essentially means whatever you do in your life, do it as an offering to the Lord. Do it as an offering to the deities. Do it as an offering to Krishna for his satisfaction. And when we do everything for the satisfaction of the Lord, for the satisfaction of the Supreme Lord, then whatever we do, it might be something as simple as driving a car, something as complicated as running a business, something as complicated as running a country, running an organization. Anything that you do can be done simply as an offering to the Lord, for the satisfaction, for the pleasure of the Lord. This verse can be the foundational verse that runs our life. Should be the foundational verse that runs our life. That means whatever action we do in our life, whatever it may be, it should be an offering to the Lord. So that means whatever we do, let us do it in such a way that we can actually offer all our actions to the Supreme Lord. And when we are in this mood that we want to offer all our actions to the Supreme Lord, naturally we will also be conscious of what actions we do. Isn't it? We'll be conscious of what kind of actions we do. We'll be conscious of what actions we should not do. Because we should do everything for the satisfaction of the Lord. And look at the way Krishna is defining it. Yat karoshi, whatever you do. Yat ashnasi, whatever you eat. Yat juhosi, whatever you offer. Dadasi, whatever you give away. Yat tapasyasi, whatever austerities you do. Now, let us evaluate our own lives. What do we do with all these things? Yat ashnasi. Can we offer everything we eat to Krishna? Many of the things we eat are not really offerable to the Lord at all, isn't it? Should we then eat them if we can't offer them to the Lord? Whatever you do, whatever actions you do, can we offer everything we do to the Lord? There are many actions that we do, we should not be able, we are not really in a position to offer them to the Lord because they are not really great actions. So the question is, should we do those actions? And then Krishna is saying, Dadasiyat, whatever you give away in charity, whatever you give away, you should offer it to you should do it as an offering to me. There are many things we give away, isn't it? And many of the things we give away are not even offerable to human beings. What to speak of the Lord, So should we even give those things away? I mean, is it right for us to do that? Yatapasyasi means we do austerities. Nowadays people are doing intermittent fasting and all kinds of diets and all that, Many of the things that we do, can we even offer them to the Lord? So if we are not able to offer those things to the Lord, should we do them? Nowadays, people have a very misconstrued sense of austerity. We invent our own, austerities, and many of the austerities that we invent are not even recommended by the scriptures, are not even recommended by great acharyas. So we should really evaluate what austerity we perform also. What fasting is worth performing, what fasting is not worth performing, what kind of food we should eat, what kind of food we should not eat, what kind of actions we should do, what kind of action we should not do, what kind of charity we should do, and what kind of charity we should not do. Evaluate everything from the context of Madarpanam. Can I offer it to the Lord? If anything is offerable to the Lord, do it. If something is not offerable to the Lord, don't do it. This is the best standard to evaluate our actions. The best standard to evaluate everything we do in our life. Best standard to evaluate everything that we eat in our life. The best standard to evaluate all our plans that we have. And this is Krishna's statements. Yat karoshi, yad ashnashi, yad juhosi dadasi, yat tapasyasi kaunteya, tat kurushva mad arpanam. As I said, bhakti is very simple, isn't it? If you just follow these two verses of Bhagavad Gita, you don't need to know anything else. These two verses of Bhagavad Gita have everything you need to know to practice your spiritual life. Every single thing you need to know to practice your spiritual life, in principle, is there in these two verses of the Gita. Let us follow these two verses of the Gita as closely as possible and as much as possible with our hearts and with the right emotions and the right sentiments and the right feelings. And very, very soon we'll make great progress in our spiritual lives and we'll feel very solidly connected with Krishna in our lives. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. I'll stop now. I can have some question answers and discussions if there are any. Pragya-ji, I'm unmuting you.
Hare Krishna. Yeah. Thank you very much for the beautiful class. I, as usual, took a lot of notes. My question is regarding the story you told about the Ganpati, that Ganpati was drinking milk at some times. And yes, I was in India at that time. So yeah, I witnessed that story. So my question is that, was it to show the world the way people can see the power of devotion, so that, to install the faith in people, the way that people can understand? Or was it some sort of trick of some clever people?
Science calls it as capillary action. So if you go and try it today also, it will work. So see, it's a very simple thing, So what happens is, human beings are fascinated by magic. They're fascinated by magic. And this fascination to magic drives us towards doing anything and everything. So anything that appears magical appears to be great. And the principles of bhakti are not magical. They're very practical and they're very down to earth. You will not see magic with your eyes, but you will feel magic in your heart. But when we are in this mood of seeing magic with your eyes, we're actually not a great sense of consciousness, because if you see a magic somewhere else, you'll run there. If you see a greater magician somewhere else, you'll run there. And that's not a great standard to live life by, right? So Srila Prabhupada always believed in magic of the heart, then magic of the eyes.
Yeah.
I hope that helped you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'll just look at up one or two questions in the comments. Rashmi ji is asking, what is the story of Tulsi being so much loved by Krishna? There's a Tulsi Maharani. So in the Vedic culture, every plant, every animal, everything in the Vedic culture is personified as a personality. So Tulsi is a person also, and she performed great austerities. Some other time I'll get into some details about Tulsi Maharani and her life, basically, and we can discuss some of the austerities that she performed. But when she performed those austerities, that pleased Krishna a lot, and the result of that, he gave the blessing that without Tulsi, no offering is complete to me. So whenever we offer anything to Krishna, it has to have one leaf of Tulsi in it. And even if your offering is not really worth in terms of taste or whatever, the Tulsi being there, Krishna neglects all other shortcomings and only focus on the Tulsi, and because our devotion and love is so much. So that's the answer to your question. The second question is, how can the saintliness not be misunderstood as cowardice? Saintly people don't care if they're misunderstood, because saintliness is a disposition, it's a mindset. You're not being saintly to prove to someone. So if you are so concerned about the world, what the world thinks about you, the world thinks you are a coward, the world thinks you're naive, the world thinks you are weak, I don't think you're cut off for being in a saintly mindset. Basically, people who are saintly, they don't care for what the world thinks, they just care for what Krishna thinks. And if Krishna wants you to behave in a certain way, in a certain standard, that's the standard I'll follow. And if that standard is called saintliness by someone, and is called cowardice by somebody else, it doesn't matter to me. So I hope that answers your question. Ravindraji, I'm unmuting you.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Thank you for the wonderful session. Really, it was a enlightening session. Prabhuji, I had just one doubt. See, like generally, this Patram Pushpam Palam Toyam. In fact, in Prabhupada also explained the purport. So, for the especially this is meant for the human beings and other. But some of the people, when they are arguing, Krishna said only Patram Pushpam Palam Toyam. Western food, all vegetables, all grains and all, he has not mentioned. So at the same time, he has not mentioned even non-vegetarian and all. Like the immediate second slokam, like that you mentioned, Karoshi. So everything, whatever you are doing, you need to offer. So where it is mentioned, why you are saying like that, how do we convey this, Prabhuji?
See, Bhagavad Gita is not to be studied in by only studying one verse. You'll not understand everything. If somebody wants to understand about food habits, this is not the verse to discuss. You should go to the 17th chapter of the Gita, where Krishna talks about food in the three moods. Food in the mode of goodness, food in the mode of passion, food in the mode of ignorance. There you will find details of it. And there very clearly Krishna speaks about Sattvagun food and what is the food that one should eat. And then he talks about Rajagun food, what is the kind of food one should avoid. And he talks about Tamagun food one should completely avoid. There you will get all the details that you're looking for. So unfortunately, what happens? People pick up one verse of the Gita and they kind of feel that they've understood the whole Gita. That's not the way Vedic scriptures work. So for everything, there is a particular system of functioning. And the Vedic scriptures, they work in a very interesting way. There is a rule and there's a case study. Just like law, there are law books, which are sections and rules, right? Yeah. And then there is case studies, which are how that section and rules are applied in life. Right. Those are manuals, law manuals, they're called basically. Similarly, the Bhagavad Gita talks about laws, rules and regulations, do's and don'ts, basically. But how to apply the law, you study Bhagavatam, or you study many of the other scriptures, where that law is being applied, basically. And not only that, when we study the scriptures, the Vedic scriptures are studied under the guidance of a guru. The guru not only teaches you what the scriptures are teaching, but also teaches you a lifestyle that is conducive to understand the scriptures. So a lot of people are open to reading the scriptures, self-help. I mean, they will do it themselves, but they're not open to being under a teacher who teaches you how that scripture can actually be best understood. So because they are not seeing the cultural context, they feel that, they know everything. So in my understanding, the combination of both these is what gives you complete knowledge. Okay.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Excellent. Thank you so much.
So Haniji, thank you very much for your comment. Anangu Sundari Mataji, was it devotion of Rukmini or devotion of Tulsi that outweighed Krishna? It's both. But Rukmini gave the credit to Tulsi Maharani. She didn't take the credit herself. And if you ask Tulsi Maharani will say it's Rukmini's devotion that actually did it. That's the greatness of devotees. They don't take credit themselves, they offer the credit to the other devotees. Dinkal Shet, your question is, thank you for the wonderful lecture. Sometimes I lie to my superiors at workplace so that to hide my bhakti activities as a fear they would not understand. Am I doing something that I should not be doing? By lying. See, we don't have to hide our devotion to anyone. If you want to learn any one thing from America, from the Western world, the one thing that you can learn from the Western world is assertiveness. The Western world is highly assertive of whatever they do. I mean, you can look at so many of the interesting things that have come up in the West. Whatever they are highly assertive about it. So if you want to learn one thing from them, learn to be assertive. And I'll tell you, if you are assertive, people respect you. If you are not assertive, people don't care for you. And in fact, people take you for a ride. So by being shy, by being, feeling awkward, and not wanting to tell who we are, we're actually doing a great disservice to ourselves. I mean, forget lying to other people. You're actually, the kind of mood and the kind of life that you lead. How long can you live like that? Isn't it? Someday or other, your lives will be caught, isn't it? So what's the point in doing that? So I think being assertive is a very powerful quality, and it's a very important quality for everyone to learn. I'm telling you, we can very well learn it from the West, because at least the West people, whatever they are, super assertive about it. Okay. Thank you everyone for all your beautiful comments. I'm very grateful. I'm unmuting Rashmiji. Go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandat Pranam. Prabhuji, I'm traveling, so the voice may break. Prabhuji, I just wanted to ask that I have heard this statement that the bhakti should be done secretly and sacredly. And how to correlate this?
See, secretly means what? The point is, try to understand what it means. It doesn't mean that you have to do bhakti without telling anybody else. What it means is that don't make a show out of it.
Right.
Don't make a show out of it. And it's your personal spiritual life. Do it at a very personal level. You don't have to show off to the world, I'm doing this and I'm doing that. A lot of people, they do it for the sake of others, right? They do, they show that they're devotees from an external point of view. They don't really do it for themselves. They do it for the sake of others. That's not what we should do.
Right.
Okay.
Another thing, Prabhuji, that cowardice and saintliness, we should not be, one should not be bothered. But does it sound rude to, is it like I'm being rude, we are being rude to someone, not being bothered? I want to ask.
I mean, how can you be being yourself, be rude to anybody else?
Okay, Prabhuji.
Being yourself is not rude to anybody, but not being yourself is being rude to yourself.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sumit ji.
Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Dandavat Pranam. I have a very amateur question, maybe. This is related to text 27. Lord says, whatever you do, you offer it to me, right, as an offering. So in the Grihastha Jivan, it's not always possible to do that. For example, I know that my child wants to go to Disneyland, and I have to earn, I have to do my sales or whatever to fulfill his needs. Now, in that, I know the purpose is to take my child to Disneyland. How can I incorporate bhakti in this?
I'll tell you some fun ways to incorporate bhakti in Disneyland.
This is just an example, of Disneyland. I'm saying, in general, in the Grihastha Jivan.
I'll give you an example of Disneyland so that you understand how to do it with in other aspects.
Sure. Thank you.
Because if I can tell you to find bhakti in Disneyland, then you can obviously find bhakti anywhere else, right? Using that idea.
Sure, Prabhu.
So my understanding is the greatest Disneyland in the world is in Vrindavan. And if you actually study Krishna's pastimes, every single ride that is there or every single fun activity that is there in Disneyland is there in Vrindavan also. So when your child is enjoying, a huge, this rides are there, I don't know what you call them, these, I don't know, anyway, whatever the caterpillar rides or whatever you call them, roller coasters and all that. You can tell your child we're sitting in Agasur's, mouth, and now you're going to go to a roller coaster ride along with Krishna and his friends, and you create a Vrindavan atmosphere in Disneyland. So I'm just giving you ideas in which you can, kind of bring a little element of Krishna within the external mundane activity that is there, so that at least internally the child is remembering something about Vrindavan, something about the Lord, some way we can connect, So I would say that is the best that we can do.
Okay, understood. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you. Great. So I'm just taking one last question here. I think the two questions are almost similar. RTG is asking, being assertive and being truthful are both same. In one sense, they are same. But the difference is that when assertiveness is about being confident about who you are and saying it out loudly, I mean, if you look at many religions in this world, I mean, I travel around a lot, and I've seen that wherever I travel, whichever country I travel, whichever airport I travel, a lot of the Muslims, most of the Muslims, they are offering namaz right on time, on wherever they are. And because they're doing it so sincerely for so many years, every airport there is a prayer room for them to offer their prayers. And typically those prayer rooms are used only by them. I don't see any Hindu sitting there and offering prayers. I don't see any Hindus sitting there and offering chanting holy names of the Lord. Why? Because somewhere Hinduism, most of so-called Hindus, they've lost the idea of being assertive. They've lost the idea of being assertive. And those who are assertive, they are the ones who get everything, all the facilities. Jains, for example, they are assertive. Therefore, you'll find Jain food everywhere. Do you ever hear of Vaishnav food anywhere? Because we are not assertive. We compromise. So the more assertive you are, the more you'll get facilities. That's not exactly truthfulness. Truthfulness is different. Assertiveness is something else. So I think to the extent people really start accepting Vaishnavism as a part of life and start being assertively Vaishnav, to that extent you'll find the world changing a lot and a lot of transformation happening in this world. Okay. I'll stop here. I think we've taken enough questions. Very, very grateful to all of you for being here and for enthusiastically participating in these Gita classes. The next session will be probably the last session of the 9th chapter of the Gita. And then we will continue with the 10th chapter. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Just one announcement before I end. Just need to make one quick announcement. So the next Thursday will be Gita class for sure. But the Thursday after that, which is 7th of September, we will not be having a Gita class because we'll be having Janmashtami celebrations that day. I would highly recommend all of you to go to the local ISKCON centers, wherever you are, whichever country you are, whichever city you are in the world. Please go to the local ISKCON centers there and celebrate Janmashtami along with the devotees there. Please chant at least 16 rounds of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra on Janmashtami day, no matter what, no matter how busy you are. At least that day, please take it as a vow to chant 16 rounds of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. And Aishwarya ji, we will just be dropping a link on the group now so that you can join the WhatsApp community. Nupur Mataji, if you can just drop the link. And 31st of August is Balram Jayanti, which is next week. 31st of August is next Thursday. Oh, sorry. So next Thursday also we will not have class. And the Thursday after that also we will not have class. We are not going to have class next 2 weeks, basically. 31st of August is Balram Jayanti, is appearance of Lord Balaram. I would highly urge all of you to go and celebrate it in the local ISKCON temples wherever you all are. And on 7th of September also is Janmashtami. So please celebrate both these festivals wherever you are. And on the group also, we'll try to drop a lecture of Janmashtami and Balram Jayanti so that you can hear it at your convenience. And you can please celebrate the festivals. And both these festivals, if possible, whoever can, please chant 16 rounds of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. It will bring a lot of blessings. It will bring a lot of auspiciousness into your life. And I wish all of you happy celebrations, happy Janmashtami, and happy Balram Jayanti. And I will try my best on the day of Janmashtami to share a very beautiful message with all of you on the WhatsApp community group. I'll try to send a video message so that all of y'all can absorb yourself on the mood of Janmashtami on that day. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.